In this episode of a podcast, of course, I bring on Ghoul, who's a fellow FGC TikToker and a wonderful FGC content creator. We've had a lot of fun chatting about his experiences in the fighting game community and what he wants to do in the fighting game community. So I hope you enjoy. Start this over. I think I just met you, Ghoul. It was that one video, and I think you duetted me, and then you're like, "Hi, I'll be friends with you." And I'm like, "I like this guy. He wants to be my friend."
Yeah, that's my vibe, you know? Like if I see someone at an event or whatever that's like not having fun, that's not something that I can tolerate. So I always go out of my way to, maybe play a game that I haven't played before to make someone feel welcome, or talk to the new guy and introduce them to people, and bringing people into the scene is like my primary objective here.
Yeah.
And you can't do that if, you're letting people not have friends at events, right?
Yeah. Good shit. All right. So my first question I always ask whenever we do this is, why did you go to TikTok? Well, how did you come to TikTok, or why did you choose TikTok as a platform?
So the short answer is Sharpie told me to.
Good. All right. I love her.
Yeah, she's great. But no, I have been using TikTok. Like my girlfriend started using TikTok towards the very beginning of the pandemic, as everybody was stuck inside not doing anything, and that's when TikTok sort of exploded, at least over here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I was exposed to it, and like sort of like how the musical trends worked and that sort of thing, and I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. It's kind of like Vine, sort of like ish. But I didn't really get into it myself until a few months afterwards, and I installed it, and I was like scrolling through the app or whatever, and I was always like, it would be really cool if there was like gaming stuff on here. And little did I know that there was. I just hadn't come across it yet. So I followed like a couple like Apex Legends TikTokers, because Apex is super big on there, just to sort of get the gaming algorithm rolling. And then, I eventually, scrolling through Twitter one day, saw Sharpie post one of her videos. I don't remember exactly what video it was. It could have been anything. But she was basically, preaching that if you're an FGC creator, get on TikTok. Why aren't you on TikTok? And I was like, you know what? She's kind of right.
Good.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how I got started on the platform.
Was it like I didn't scroll far enough back, but like, are you a D&D TikToker as well, is what I saw?
So I made like one D&D TikTok video.
Okay.
I do love D&D, but
Sure.
I did the put a finger down challenge for
Gotcha,
D&D. That's the only D&D TikTok I've ever made, but I do love the game. I just haven't made any content.
Yeah. It's to me, D&D is a guilty pleasure where I would love to do if like I just had free time, but like, as you know, being a content creator, you just don't have free time anymore, man. Like,
no,
it's horrible.
I play video games drastically less now that I've started making videos about video games.
Mm-hmm. Like this is gonna sound so. I'm assuming you follow Max.
Like Maximilian Dude.
Yeah, like yeah. He came out with a video. I think it was today, pretty much saying like, yeah, I don't have the same love for games anymore, and it's like,
oh yeah, I saw the thumbnail for that. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
If you watch it, like, I related to every word he said, every single word, because like I love video games to death, but I know firsthand where I feel like there's almost like I'm wasting time when I'm playing them if I'm not using it for something. Like I can't just play a game anymore. I need to have a reason to use it.
I use my my NVIDIA Shadowplay so much. Like every time I do something remotely cool in any video game, I quick record the last 2 minutes, because that could be a clip, that could be a video. It's like, it's so difficult to like turn that searching for content part of my brain off and just like enjoy the game thoroughly.
Cool. Is there a certain game? Like, I obviously we're a fighting game, but we'll go into some other stuff. What you said Apex, right? Is there other games that you like would like to make content for outside of fighting games, or?
So stuff that I would make content for. I am a huge fan of the Souls series.
Ooh,
the Dark Souls games in particular. So when Elden Ring comes out, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of stuff on that.
Yeah, you and Lumi can fight over all the content because Lumi's like, he's so excited over that. Like, so
I
excited.
know. Me and Lumi talked about that actually when the trailer came out. That game looks so sick. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. The only like Souls game I think I've ever played was Sekiro. Don't get me wrong, I had a blast playing Sekiro, but like,
Sekiro's an awesome game.
Like, I've never played the original Dark Souls, and I did play Shadow of the Colossus, which I know is not the same, but it's also kind of similar in the same vein. So, but I don't know. I like those games. Like, I don't get the whole why is it so difficult thing.
So that game is. So playing Dark Souls is actually why I have such like a strong mindset for fighting games. It's like Dark Souls was the first game that taught me that you have to fail to succeed.
Okay.
It was the first game that I really played through that I was like, okay, you have to die in this game. Like dying is part of it, so that you learn the layout of the map and where the enemies are and how best to tackle certain things. And you just keep dying and going back to that last checkpoint, and then you get a little farther each time. And that's sort of the mindset that I bring into fighting games, where it's like you have to lose to win. It's like
that's actually I think when I've said it a bunch of times, I think a lot of people just like they don't like the part of getting better. They just want the win. And
right.
That's why people like stay away from fighting games. That's why like shooters are so popular. I think that's the reason. Getting one kill and not and losing the match means more to somebody than losing 15 games in a row against that one, like, I don't know, like the one Yoshimitsu player, and then you getting that one win at the end. To me, getting that one win at the end means so much more to me than getting one kill and losing on the team. You know what I mean? I'd rather lose a million times and get one win than getting like 10 kills and still losing in a match in like Call of Duty or Halo.
It's definitely a unique mindset that you need to play fighting games, and a lot of my content is focused on that because I want to understand people more and like why they don't play fighting games. Like actually my first video, even I think I made it before the video of yours that I stitched. I literally just asked the gaming TikTok community, why aren't you playing fighting games? And then I waited for people to answer, and I responded to a lot of like their comments with different ways to approach the things that they're struggling with. And that's kind of a lot of what my content is based on, is trying to change the way that people see fighting games in general.
Ooh.
Because I think that if you don't change the way people look at them, then no one new is going to get into them, right? Like you're not going to get the growth that you want if you don't change the way that people are looking at the genre from the outside.
All right, so like I'm assuming you and I have a very similar mindset in that. Like I think the big thing for me is I think we've all gone through it, and I'm going to ask you this, it's going to be my next question in a second, but we've all been in that spot where we were the one losing. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've he sounds quiet. Let me put you up a little bit. We've all been in that spot while playing fighting games where you are the person that's losing, trying to get better. And I think a lot of people just never want to be that person. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't stomach doing that, it is going to be a very rough time for you in this community because
absolutely
like, there's no way around it because you have to lose. There's no a way around it. If you're going to be the one bad, the only way for you to get better is you need to lose a bunch to figure out what you're doing wrong to get better.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's another reason why we're probably the most humbled community. Like I saw your video, I think it was yesterday or maybe it was today, about someone saying, why is the FGC so toxic? And I just like rolled my eyes at that because I see that comment all the time and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And I blame the Smash community for that. I'll be the first one to admit it. That's 100% the Smash community's fault making us look toxic. But yeah, you said it perfectly. Everyone has their own toxicity in every community. Hell, there's even that in the puzzle community. You know what I mean? People playing Tetris have those people, you know. So like, yes, we may have like the LTGs and the Leffins, but like when in truth we also have the Alex Valles. We got the Ghouls, we got the Sharpies, we got the good people too, man. Like there's a lot of really solid people in the community. So
there is, and a lot of people don't find those people first, and that's such a shame. That's another reason why I wanted to become a content creator, So I was like, I want to be another person that is at the front of things that people can see as a good influence, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go into some of the questions I gave you. I kind of gave you. You probably have watched the podcast, I hope. But I asked pretty much the same couple questions. What is your fighting game origin story? So, like from the very beginning to now, where did you come from in fighting games to where you are right now? What's your origin story?
So when I was 7 years old, somewhere around there, 6 and 8, somewhere in that range, um, my uncle moved out of my grandmother's house and he left behind his PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Um, and so me being right around of the age to start, playing video games and thoroughly enjoying them, my grandmother gave me the PS2 that was left behind with the stack of games that he left. And one of those games was Tekken 4.
Okay.
And I played that game so much. Like the aesthetic, the music, the characters, everything about that game was so cool to me as a child. And obviously I was a kid, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was just mashing buttons against the computer or whatever, trying to get to the end of arcade mode to see the cutscenes and whatnot. But that was the moment where that really anchored fighting games into my head, and it would be a long time before I came back to them. But years go by, I'm playing Tekken 4. I never got into Tekken 5. It was just never bought for me as a kid.
One of the best ones.
I know it's one of the best. I've since gone back and played Tekken 5.
That's what got me back into Tekken, to be honest.
Yeah.
I skipped 4 completely.
A lot of people did. A lot of people didn't like Tekken 4. And, looking back on it now, I see why. Yeah. But still, aesthetically, with the music and the characters and the stages, I still love Tekken 4.
Oh, no, I get it. Where was Mokujin, man? Like,
where was Mokujin? That's so true.
Combat, stupid battle drone.
Where's Mokujin now?
Let's not. We'll talk about that at the end of this. Go ahead.
So I get a little bit older. I'm like, middle school age, preteen. And one of my family friends who I sort of grew up playing video games with, shout outs to Ray if you're watching this. That's my boy right there. But he started playing Tekken 6 with me on the Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. And he sort of grew up playing fighting games like among his own circle of friends. He's a few years older than me, so he had his own friends and whatnot. But when he hung out with me, we played Tekken 6. And so that was where I started playing fighting games with people. Now, of course, he kicked my ass, and I didn't really expect anything different, but we had a good time playing Tekken 6. I never took it too seriously. I never learned combos or anything like that. But what I did do is when I got even older, so another 5 or 6 years goes by, and I decide that I have my own friends now, and I want to play some games with my friends, so I pick up MK9. And that was the first game where I learned how to do a combo. Okay. I was a Scorpion main. I played Scorpion and Smoke in that game.
Okay.
And that was the first game where I didn't go online and search anything up. I just learned that hey, if I knock you in the air with this move, I get to keep hitting you. Mm-hmm. And so that was where I got the idea of stringing together moves to create combos that my opponent can't escape from, right? Or actually, 9 was the first game that had combo breakers, I think, but the first MK game anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was where the idea of getting good at fighting games kind of started, and then I threw it away. I stopped playing fighting games for years because I picked up Halo Reach. And
totally understandable.
Yeah.
we all went to the dark side at one point and played shooters. I don't think there's one person who hasn't.
Oh no, absolutely not. But I played Halo Reach for quite a few years. I think Halo Reach came out in 2010, 2011.
Oh god, I was in college. I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Reach came out in college, yeah. When I was in college.
Yeah. So yeah, I was playing Halo Reach a lot, and to the point where I went online and I joined a team, and we were playing in the MLG Game Battles leagues. I was taking Halo super seriously. It was to the point where my teammates and stuff were talking about traveling to a major. We were gonna go to, I think it was MLG Dallas that year. It was either Dallas or Anaheim. I'd have to go back and look up what year it was. But I was only like 13 years old, and my parents weren't super on board with the traveling to play video games thing.
Sure.
And that was the moment where I kind of fell off from Halo for a while, because it was like, why am I going to keep doing this if I can't travel to the big events, right? If I can only play online, then why would I keep putting my effort into it?
Yeah.
So I gamed casually for a couple years. I got into some other shooters. I got into Counter-Strike there for a while I was in college. I played CSGO for probably like 2 or 3 years. And again, I joined a team, played in some CEVO leagues and stuff. I didn't have money for ESEA, so I played in the free version. But it was still fun. And it was that sort of playing in that environment where I started to realize that I don't like having teammates.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
And like I make that sound worse than it actually was. It wasn't so much that I didn't like my teammates. Like, obviously I made friends with the people that I played with and everything, but what I didn't like was losing because someone else dropped the ball.
Okay, yeah.
I really had a hard time living with that. Knowing that I did everything right on my end, I played my position the way I was supposed to, and we still lost the game, really upset me. I was less upset when it was my fault that we lost. Because that's something that I can fix, right? I can make myself better at the game and fix the mistakes that I made, but I can't fix someone else's mistakes. So I started looking into how can I still be a competitive gamer, but without having to play on a team? Because like I didn't want to get into League of Legends because I would run into the same problem. And CSGO and League of Legends were and still kind of are the juggernauts of esports at the time.
Yeah, sadly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a whole other bag of kittens I'm not going to get into right now.
But yeah, so I was like, I don't want to get into League because like I like the game casually or whatever, but like the community was terrible and I was going to run into the same issues playing with teammates. So I tried playing Quake for a little while because the primary competitive mode in Quake yeah, really? I spent a few years playing Quake Live.
Oh my god. I was not expecting Quake. I'm going to be honest. You saying that just kind of throwing me for a loop right now. I was not expecting you to say Quake at all. But okay, Godspeed.
It was actually super cool. I love Quake a lot, actually, and like I only got into it like within the past 5 or 6 years. But I played Quake Live a lot. I tried really hard to get good at that game. But the more I practiced, and like I was getting absolutely trashed by the veterans that are on the dual servers in that game. But I loved every second of it because it was just me, and I could make myself better. And that was what was important to me. I could see myself fixing individual things about my gameplay, and it mattered. So yeah, I played Quake Live for maybe 2 years that I practiced that game. But then I started to realize that there's no events for this game anymore. Like, I'm not going to put in the amount of time and effort necessary to get good at Quake, especially playing catch-up against people like Rafa, who have been playing since Quake 2 or Quake 3 Arena. Just to go to QuakeCon once a year and lose.
Yeah, no.
So I kind of put it down, and like Quake Champions came out, and I didn't really vibe with it. I don't like the hero shooter thing. I don't like hero shooters. So the fact that the fact that Quake Champions came out, I play it every once in a while because it is still a Quake game. Like, it still feels like a Quake game. But the heroes and abilities and different health pools and stuff I just didn't vibe with. But it was that time where I just happened to be scrolling through YouTube one day, and the algorithm put the VOD of Combo Breaker, I think 2015, either 2015 or 2016, of MKX, where Sonic Fox just ran through the entire bracket with Aaron Black.
Destroyed is a different
yeah, just shredded.
Mopped. You could see the water trail of the mop still. Like, it was brutal. Honestly, yeah. Sonic does that with like every tournament they're in. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, and not only was it so cool to see somebody that good at fighting games, I also really liked the character because Aaron Black is a really cool character.
Yeah, he's cool. 100%.
Yeah.
He's like I think they changed his name. Cassidy Cole is their name in Overwatch, but like those cowboy-esque characters always just like vibe with a lot lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just waiting for Woody to show up in an actual fighting game. That's gonna be absolutely awesome. Reach for the stars or skies or whatever the hell he says. Yo,
that would be sick, actually.
That would be an epic mod in Overwatch. Every time McCree or whatever the new character's name is says, instead of saying it's high noon, you say reach for the sky. That would be awesome. Someone mod that shit. That'd be hilarious, man.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
So MKX, sweet.
Yeah. So I got to see this really cool character piloted by the best fighting game player in modern history absolutely tear through everyone in their path. And it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, and at that point it reminded me, I was like, wait, I used to play Mortal Kombat a little bit, like, and it was fun. Mm-hmm. I never got super good at it, but I had a good time with it. Maybe I should try getting back into fighting games. Like, I have a little bit of a history peppered through my past of playing these games. Maybe I would like it now as an adult, jumping into it head first. So I went out and I picked up a copy of MKX. I played it online for a month or two, and I had an okay time. But eventually I was like, okay, so this is a fighting game, and I want to experience more fighting games. So what's the other fighting game on the market besides MKX right now? It was Street Fighter V. So I picked up Street Fighter V, knowing nothing about fighting games or, you know, how the game launched and the status that it was in and that kind of thing. But I picked up, it was during season 1, so like Guile and Jerry and everything had come out for Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
And I was playing Ken because I was like, this is a basic character that will help me learn the game, I think.
And like, I knew safe to go with no matter what.
Yeah. And like, I kind of knew that. I was like, you know, Ryu and Ken are the basic guys, more or less. Basic so I was bitches. Like, all right,
the basic bitch is a fighting game.
Right. So I was like, let me play Ken, figure out how to do this fighting game thing. I played online for actually like 2 days before I decided, okay, I want to play this game and I want to play it against people offline. So how do I do that? So I went online and I Googled fighting game tournaments in my area. And a local community, shout outs to Havenshine and Ron, popped up. And they were I hopped onto the Facebook page, and they host weekly tournaments in my area once a week. We play a bunch of different fighting games, and that was it. Like that week, or actually, it was the day after I searched them up that I went there, because I had been playing Street Fighter V for like 3 days before I went to my first local.
Okay.
So I went.
Okay.
I met the people there. I didn't go 0-2, which I was very shocked, because the whole time on my way there, I knew that everyone there was going to be better than me. Like, I didn't go there with a single ounce of ego or pride, thinking that I was going to beat anyone. But I actually did get a win, and that surprised me a lot. And then,
so after the first tournament in 2016, 2017 was your first tournament?
2016, yeah, was my first tournament.
Really? Okay. So you're like a fledgling of tournament scene. That's dope, dude. Nice.
Yeah. August of 2016. I believe it was August 28th, if I can date it properly. Was my first local, and I went and I lost my round 1, won my round 2. And then in my round 3, I had to play one of the best guys in there. So
how it always works.
Yep. I got trashed. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I had to ask. I was like, can I still like keep playing, like, even though I'm not in the tournament? Like, can I like hang out and just play games? And they were like, yeah, of course. That's actually why we're here. So And funny enough, that tournament is actually where the name Ghoul came from.
Really?
Yeah. I got my name the same day I went to my first tournament. Because, and people are gonna make fun of me for this, but I'm gonna tell the world anyway. I went to my first tournament, and the guy asked me for a gamer tag, and I panicked, and because I didn't have one. And I was like, I don't want to be that lame guy that like goes by his real name at a tournament. Like nobody else does that. Like, so the first thing that popped into my head, I was in the middle of watching Tokyo Ghoul.
All right.
Like I had literally just finished an episode before I left the house. And so I just said the first thing that popped into my head, and it was Ghoul. So
that's still a pretty solid like gamer tag. To be fair, yeah. Ghoul is pretty sick. Like, yeah. Like I'm the guy who's sticking with his actual name because it's like Phil, of course. I'm kind of lame in turn. Like I'm actually, you know who I'm really jealous when it comes to names? T-Grass has one of the coolest names to me.
T-Grass's gamer tag is really cool.
Dude, it's so sick. It's just T-Grass. I don't know why. I just also the way he has like his logo and everything. I just love the way what he does there. Shout out to T-Grass. Okay, go ahead, Ghoul. Sorry.
But yeah, so I just said the first thing that popped into my head, and it was Ghoul, and that's who I became, and like the rest is history.
Yeah.
But I was super lucky. I met really cool people that like after the tournament they like sat down and played games with me and like taught me stuff, and like I learned how to like do links and stuff that day because someone actually sat down and taught me how to do it. So I lucked out.
The internet too, so you didn't really have the luxury of going online and them showing you. Like nowadays, you can pick up any fighting game ever, and you learn the best combo there is with any character. You know I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you can't do that in those. Back then that wasn't a possibility. You know what I mean? So, like having those people to do that, I think it was actually an MK9. I remember it was like I just finished a Magic tournament. And we were all playing MK9 at the end there, and someone showed me a combo with Shiva, and I was like, "You can do combos in this game."
You can do combo? Like what the hell? Like someone, one of the guys there.
Yeah, I always thought it was just like neutral, like you throw fireballs and you like sweep people and uppercut them. That's not. It was like
that's it. That's
what
all
you
there
did
is
in Mortal Kombat, and I was like, "What?" I thought combos was like that was a Tekken thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if you don't get someone in the air, then you don't get a combo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like. But no, one of the guys there showed me that you could link Ken's jab into his back medium punch, heavy punch target combo.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost my mind. That was the coolest thing I had ever seen. The fact that I could, because Ken has like a lot of target combos that he can confirm off of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was getting all my damage because that was the easiest thing to do. It was like do a target combo into a special move. And he showed me that. He was like, yeah, you can do a jab and then you get to do the back medium punch after. And I was like, what? That completely shifted how I looked at the game. But it was super awesome to have such a welcoming community. And a lot of the guys that were there, I still play with today.
That's awesome. Like, I'm not going to ask you where you're from, but like, do you have still a local where you are? Is like the local started up back in your area? Because like my area, we still do not have an actual fighting game local in my area right now.
We're trying.
Yeah, like I think Smash started up, but I don't want to go do Smash.
Yeah.
But I like the place, like the school I was going to do like all the NetherRealm and Tekken tournament. They still haven't started things back up, and I'm just like, oh. Like I would kill to have a local right now. Like I'm about to like drive down and meet up with T-Grass and Sharpie and Floki just to do a tournament. Like that's how bad it is right now. I'm about to drive 5 hours. I'll pick up Lumi on the way there.
There you go. I mean, hey, in FGC TikTok creators offline tournament, I'd be down for that.
It's gonna happen eventually. We just need one of us to reach like Max's level, and then we're good to go. All right. So what we talked about your fighting game history. Where are you at now? Like, what are your fighting games? What are your favorite fighting games? Like throughout the years, what is your favorite fighting games, and where are you now when it comes to what's your favorite games now?
So I started going to locals for Street Fighter V.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the game, and like that was the first one that I started learning how to play. I played a little bit more MKX in the months following that, but eventually that just kind of fell off because there weren't a lot of players in my local region. So I just sort of fell off playing Mortal Kombat. Um, but at a couple months after I started playing Street Fighter, I met one guy, shout outs to Lord Xavier, who I was just talking to about fighting games because we weren't playing the same games at the time. Like he didn't play Street Fighter. He was actually a Smash guy, for the most part. But we were just talking about fighting games because Xavier plays like tons of games. Smash just happened to be the most popular one in our area, so that's what he was playing. But I was talking to him about how I really miss Tekken. And like I didn't really like Tekken Tag 2 because I didn't like the tag mechanics and like having to play two characters. I just wasn't into that.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I used to play like Tekken 6 when I was younger, and I really wish there was like a newer Tekken game that I could like get into, that isn't Tekken Tag. And he was like, oh, you like Tekken, so you like 3D games. Come try this one. And he sat me down in front of Dead or Alive 5.
Okay.
And I loved it.
DOA 5 isn't that bad. It's fan service.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit
and
much.
Being a DOA player, that's something that you kind of accept. Yeah. You're like the rest of the fighting game community sees it as a fan service game, and they think that there's not much else to it. But I promise you, there's a pretty deep fighting game buried in there.
Oh, it is like that and Virtua Fighter. They're all solid games. They really are. It's just there's a lot of extra. Like I'd like to say, like like how a potato is like a potato, but every now and then there's those like little like spud vine things start growing off them. That's what some of those games have.
Oh yeah. But like I said, that's something you sort of just take in stride when you decide that you want to be a DOA player. Mm-hmm. And I did. Like I actually got like really good at DOA 5. The first major that I went to, I entered DOA 5 and I made top 5.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, it was awesome and it was a great time. But I played DOA 5 a lot. I fell in love with that game. And I stopped playing it once Tekken 7 came out for obvious reasons. Yeah. I don't need to get
so I know
too
Tekken
deep into
7
that.
Is kind of your game, right? Like that's your game right now. So
yeah.
Well, I kind of talked. You faced Lone Wolf a month ago.
About that, yeah.
It was, so that I was really excited to watch that match between you guys. Like I put some money down on it. I was excited to let you guys go at it. So in your experience with the Tekken 7, it's had its issues. You know what I mean? Like the netcode is still an issue. The fact that they didn't do crossplay. The crazy amount of DLC I always saw as a good thing, how much DLC they had. But where it's at right now, what's your honest opinion about Tekken, like right now? Since it's like pretty much at the end of its life, like where do you think it's at?
Tekken 7 right now is a good game held back by a lot of silly issues.
Okay.
Like, and when I say silly, I mean like the game doesn't run properly on PC most of the time. And the netcode is really bad. And sometimes you'll just disconnect for no reason whatsoever. It's also, and I might ruffle some feathers by saying this, but I have yet to find fans of a fighting game that are more bitter than Tekken players.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's like, and maybe bitter is a strong word, but Tekken players tend to take issues with the game very, very personally and like very seriously. And you get people hopping on and off the game like so much, like more than any other game that I've seen. Like every other day you find new people on Tekken Twitter saying like, I'm done with this game, I'm not going to play it anymore, blah, blah. And then like 3 days later, they're back on the game.
To be fair, that's every fighting game.
Yeah.
Every fighting game has those people. I'm one of them. The amount of times I've even done with Injustice too is like every 5 minutes. I'm like, fuck this game.
Tekken 7, despite all of its flaws, I think it's a really good game. I think it's a really strong fighting game that did what it wanted to do. But I think that there's a lot of silly issues holding it back. Stuff like the netcode and, performance issues on PC and that kind of stuff. And I think that in Tekken 8, if they take a very similar formula and execute it better, it'll be the best thing they've ever done.
Mm-hmm. Do you think I asked this in my Discord today, and you were actually one of the ones that jumped on? Do you think Tekken 8 is going to be the next big fighting game?
Yes.
Well, obviously, the only options I gave you there were Street Fighter and Tekken this morning, but I think MK's. I don't think MK is coming up next. I think MK is going to take it back. We're not going to see Smash for years if we get another Smash.
Yeah.
Street Fighter, I don't even think it's in the works yet, to be honest. I think Tekken. I think we're getting Tekken Tag 3. That's my opinion. I think that's what we're getting next, because if
go ahead.
It was Tekken 6, then Tag Tournament, or was it Tekken Tag Tournament then Tekken 6? I don't remember.
So a tag game comes out every 3 Tekken games.
Okay.
So you had Tekken 1, 2, 3, then it was Tag 1, and then we had 4, 5, 6, and then it was Tag 2.
Okay.
So if the pattern continues, we'll see Tekken 7, 8, 9 before we get Tag 3.
Okay.
That's if they continue the pattern.
Do you think they're going to follow that pattern is a better question.
I think they will. And,
really? Okay.
The reason why that I think that is because of the story. The Tekken Tag games are their own separate timeline within the Tekken universe.
Really?
Yes, Tekken Tag 1 and Tekken Tag 2 have their own story canon.
With Unknown and whoever. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I just learned something. Thank you, Ghoul. I'm gonna go research the shit out of this now. Holy hell.
Yep. So the numbered mainline Tekken entries are their own continuous story. So 1 through 7 are one story, but Tekken Tag 1 and Tekken Tag 2 are essentially their own series in terms of story. They have their own canon that's completely separate from the mainline Tekken universe. So I think that with the story that they set up in Tekken 7, with the whole Heihachi is done and Jin is going to confront Kazuya, they're going to want to continue that, because Tekken 7 ended on not really a cliffhanger, but it was a very clear setup for a continuation of the series.
Get down.
Do you think get down?
Sorry.
No, you're good. Do you think Heihachi's dead? Do you think he's actually dead?
Is Heihachi dead? Yes.
No, you actually are. This dude can eat bullets, man.
So I think that Heihachi, as we know him, is dead, and they're gonna do some crazy supernatural thing to bring him back, probably in Tekken 9. I think we're gonna not see him in the story of Tekken 8. And they're really gonna let Kazuya versus Jin have its time.
I would put any amount of money. If he's not in the base game, he'll be DLC. There's no way.
Yeah.
Heihachi is Tekken. Like, I can't see in the
So
world.
that's the thing, is I don't see him being in the story mode.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't make Heihachi a playable character, that's
fair. I can agree with that. Yeah.
I think that Heihachi will not be in the story, but he will still be a playable character, because I don't see a Tekken game without Heihachi in it.
Yeah. Well, I've had this theory for a while now. Like in Street Fighter, they did a massive time. They're going to do a massive time jump for 6. That's my theory for Street Fighter 6. But for
that
Tekken,
kind of makes sense.
They already did a massive time jump in Tekken, back from Tekken 2 to Tekken 3.
Yeah.
So like the timeline's a little bit odd. Like, you know what I mean? Like Nina's like 70 something, I think.
A little bit. Yeah.
Like she's an old gal and she's looking great. But when it comes to the next storyline, I think it's that we're ready for the next generation where we start seeing what what Tekken did with the Tekken 3 did with, let's bring some new children, let's bring in X, Y, and Z. I think it's time for that next leap. I think we're ready for a time skip or bring in some other characters, because like Soul Calibur did it, Tekken's done it. I think Street Fighter's gonna do it. I mean, look how successful MK9 to MKX were with bringing in the children, and I don't know. I think. Oh man, that
I mained Takeda for a long time.
Yeah, I was a Cassie main in 10, so like I totally relate. But yeah, I think a time skip it would work, because what is Kazuya gonna do? Like Kazuya can just dip and disappear and do his own thing, and have Jin.
He can, yeah.
Yeah, Kazuya has the floor. He can do whatever he wants. Kazuya doesn't want power. I mean, he wants sneakers, according to Harada. So there's. Yeah, I'm very excited to see where the lore goes with Tekken. I've always been a big fan of that. The lore of fighting games in most games are more or less trash, but they're still intriguing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know what's going on, even though I know I'm not going to be like, this is like award-winning story writing. It's never the case, but I'm still more or less very interested.
So to me, I've always preferred individual characters' stories over the overarching narrative of the series. I've always been more interested in, like, for instance, Hwoarang is my favorite Tekken character. So, like, I read all about, like, his backstory and the things that he did that they don't tell you in the games, but they, like, write into his canon backstory. That's always more interesting to me than the main story of the actual fighting game.
Okay. Like, Hwoarang, if I'm correct, like, he was just supposed to be, like, the rival to Jin. Like, I don't think they expected, how do you say his name?
I say Hwoarang.
Hwoarang?
Yes.
I think that is the most divisive question.
It is. Everyone pronounces it differently.
No one knows how to say this. Harada, come to us and tell us the answer. No one knows how to say this dude's name.
When in doubt, I go with how the announcer pronounces it.
And I have to go play Tekken again to remember how it is.
When you click on his name, the announcer says Hwoarang.
Yeah. Is he he's not your main, but he's one of your secondaries, right?
He is my main.
Oh, he is your main. I thought you were Steve
yes.
main when you faced.
So
were you just styling on Lone Wolf that day? Was that
no.
what's going on?
So there's a story behind this. Hwoarang is, first of all, I cannot stick with a character. That's my toxic trait.
Oh god.
I change my main like I change clothes. Steve was an attempt at me picking up a character that's more fundamentally solid that I might be able to play a little bit more consistently with. Because Hwoarang is a very aggro mix-up 50-50 in-your-face character, which in Tekken is a very difficult style to win with at a high level. And this is a gripe that I've had playing this character since the beginning of Tekken 7 when I started being competitive. Hwoarang was the first fighting game character I ever clicked on. Back in Tekken 4, when I was a child, he was the coolest looking guy, and I clicked on him, and I just went with that all the way up through 7.
Yeah.
But as I started fighting better players and, like, making it farther in tournaments, I realized that the character wants me to play in a way that his tools are better at playing in a way that isn't always consistent at a higher level. He's easier to use against people that don't know how to fight him. And when people do know how to fight him, it's very difficult to get anything done. So over the past year or so, I've been, excuse my cat.
What's the cat's name?
This is Wesley.
Wesley? All right.
Yes.
Say hello,
he likes
everybody.
To bite me. But I've been trying to find a character that fits a little bit more of a sort of a tight, consistent, fundamental play style for me to play at a higher level with. I've been trying to play Steve. I had been trying to play Steve for about a month or two before I challenged Lone Wolf. And that set, and it wasn't just the fact that he beat me. I went back and watched that set, and the way I played with Steve was not good. I was not satisfied with the way that I played at all. And it made me realize that, like, I really should just stick to my main. And, like, I should just play Hwoarang because I'm comfortable in the most situations with him. I've spent the most amount of time playing him. And especially with the game coming towards the end of its life, it's probably not worth it for me to spend a lot of time trying to get another character up to the level that I'm at with him.
Okay. Like, I've had the same main in Tekken since 5. So I've been playing Asuka since 5.
Asuka.
And I started picking her up mainly because she was Jun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I played Jun in 1 and 2. And then when Tekken 3 came out, there was no Jun. So
Yep.
I actually picked up Hwoarang as well in Tekken 3, and then in Tekken 4, I just didn't play. I think when I went back, I think I would just pick up King in Tekken 4 because I always have like a pocket King in every game I've ever played. I always pick up King as a side character for fun because
that pocket King is so scary.
Yeah, dude, it's so fun, man. I love King. It's that Jaguar head, dude. Like it
is.
I didn't realize till like Tekken 3 that he actually wasn't like a Jaguar man. Like I thought, like because I'm gonna be honest, in 1 and 2 I wasn't good enough to even like beat the ladder mode. I was too young. You know what I mean? Like, so I couldn't do it. I was always just playing with my friends. And, like, if I needed to beat the ladder mode to unlock a character, a cousin did it for me. You know what I mean? So, I just remember playing through Tekken 5 and picking all the characters. And I couldn't beat Jinpachi in Tekken 5. So I was like, the only character I could beat Jinpachi with was Asuka. So I'm like, I think this is my main. And then I just went online and I found out, I just did the same couple tricks over and over again. And then I found out she's a very defensive character. Yep. She like waits for you to make a mistake. She's in, that's very much my play style in Tekken. So, I've just picked her up every game all the way through. And then they also introduced Lily that generation, which I also kind of fell in love with Lily. If I want to rush down aggro character, I'll pick her up. Have you faced Kawaii yet?
I have not.
You should challenge her. She'll probably wash you, but like
probably.
Yeah, but hopefully you're willing to take on like harder people so you can get better and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Kawaii is like solid. Like she plays Apex now and stuff, but if you ask her, I guarantee she'll say yes. I know Lone Wolf. No. I think she called out Lone Wolf, and I don't know if they did that matchup or not.
Yeah, I know. I saw her duet of accepting his challenge. I don't know if they ever actually played that match.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If Kawaii messaged me and said I want to face you in Tekken, I'd be like, I'm out. Not doing it.
No, I would definitely play Miles in Tekken.
Yeah, she's. I feel kind of bad because she didn't get much time in the tournament we did and stuff. But like if we do a Tekken tournament, like if Tekken gets announced and we do a Tekken tournament for the FGC guys, like she's the number one I'm putting on that list. Not even a question.
Oh yeah.
Like she has to play. But yeah, so here's a couple other things. Give me one thing you love about fighting games and one thing you hate.
One thing I love about fighting games. The biggest thing I love about fighting games is how they bring people together. How they just sort of naturally create communities with the way that they are. There's just something, and maybe it's like that residual energy from arcade culture, but like when you play a fighting game, it doesn't matter if someone's never played before, you'll probably find someone that wants to sit down and play with you. Mm-hmm. Like if you boot up Street Fighter or Tekken at like a family gathering or whatever, there's going to be one person in your family that is going to want to sit down and play with you.
Like I host like full-on tournaments at family get-togethers now. Like I show up with my PlayStation. I'm like, what are we playing today? I'm like, we're playing Street Fighter, Injustice, Guilty Gear. I brought Guilty Gear. My cousin says we're not allowed to play use Potemkin anymore.
Damn.
That's like have house rules, man. You were the reason that gave me that idea. What are the house rules?
The house rules.
Yeah. At family get-togethers, you kind of have to like.
Oh yeah.
Like there's like age rules. If you're like under a certain age, you're not allowed to block against them and shit like that.
Well, at a certain level, you want to make sure everybody has fun, right?
Yeah. All right. What about hate? What's something you hate about fighting games?
Something that I hate about fighting games. That's hard because there's so much to love about fighting games. I think the thing that I hate about fighting games is how much how do I word this? I don't like the way that fighting games sort of front load all of the learning. Mm-hmm. Just to make it's I guess the easiest way to say it is I don't like how high the skill floor is.
Okay.
I love how high the skill ceiling is. I don't love how high the skill floor is because there's something about fighting games, and I've been trying to pinpoint it, especially like through my TikTok content. Like I'm trying to get people to give me information so I can figure out why people feel this way. But people feel like they need to be good at fighting games before they play them.
I can give you something they can do. If anyone comes to you and says you want like a low skill level, tell them to go play an arena fighter. I'm dead ass.
Yeah,
that's part
arena
of the
fighters are. Arena fighters are very easy to get into.
Everyone hits a wall when they in arena fighters. So there's neutral. Don't get me wrong. There's still neutral in those games, but like there's a ceiling for all arena fighters. 100%. Go there. If anyone's struggling, tell them to go play Demon Slayer.
I kind of want to get that Demon Slayer game. I have a guilty pleasure for anime arena fighters. I have a guilty anime arena fighters are my guilty pleasure. Okay.
Is there
most of the time it's
what anime do you want then? What's the anime you want to see?
the one that I want. Like
Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, actually, a Tokyo Ghoul arena fighter would be sick. Like an M-rated Tokyo Ghoul arena fighter, that would be awesome.
That actually would be pretty dope. Now thinking about it,
right?
That'd actually be
think
awesome.
about it for a second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool characters you could put in that game. But really, Naruto was one of my favorite animes, and that already, obviously, the Ninja Storm series is like the primary anime arena fighter. Dragon Ball obviously has Xenoverse and the Budokai games, and the last one that I would have said, actually, no, there is one, Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter is a very popular one that I see that hasn't really gotten a lot of love. I'm surprised.
Hunter x Hunter needs an arena fighter.
Yeah.
Actually, it needs a traditional fighter.
A traditional fighter. Yeah, like our goal is never for animes to get an arena fighter. It's for them to get an actual fighting game.
Yeah.
Like Fairy Tail has yet to have one. Fairy Tail is one that I've been supporting for a very long time. I know it's a fan servicey anime, but I absolutely love it. I would rather it get like a Smash equivalent because I think that actually would work better for Fairy Tail. But like, I'll take any type. If Arxis got an announcement tomorrow that they're making a Fairy Tail like Dragon Ball Fighters, I would lose my effing mind.
A Fairy Tail fighting game would be super cool.
Yeah,
I'd play that
because there's so many different type of characters. Like, there's endless amount of characters you can use.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so I got two more questions for you. Next one is content creators. What are some content creators you look up to? I'm assuming like Max and stuff. Like, who are some other your big guys or just people you enjoy watching? Is it through fighting games? Is it like, do you have a guilty pleasure where you just like watching people cook? What do you like?
So like apart from Max, I'd say that like the number one content creator, or actually, I have a tie for my number one favorite content creator. Excuse me. And it's a tie between Sajam and Brian F.
Okay, both solid. Yeah.
It's like right down the middle. Zaffarino is like a solid second place. Mm-hmm. But I love the way Sajam talks about fighting games, and like the way that he breaks down information and analyzes things is like, that's really, I try to emulate that as much as possible in my content. Like, I want to have that sort of cool, collected analysis of the situation in a fighting game. Brian F is very similar. The way that he can really break down exactly what he's doing and what he's thinking while he's playing, no less, is really awesome. And I really like watching both of their content.
Nice. Yeah, I love Sajam. I think Sajam, if we had like a content creator, like what's the word I'm like Mount Rushmore, it'd be like Max, Wooly, Sajam would all be on there. I don't know who the last one would be. Like me personally, I'd probably put like Jayuna, but like he sold out to Panda, so we'll pick somebody else. Yeah, so I got my final question ready for you, which is how I usually end these. But is what does the FGC mean to you?
Oh man, that's the big one, isn't it? The FGC to me started as a place for me to it started as my competitive outlet, because I had really sort of stopped. Like, I'm a naturally competitive person. I want to test my skills against other people and improve and get better, and like that's just a natural drive that I have. And after I quit Counter-Strike, I just sort of didn't have that. So the FGC started out as that. Now it's like I couldn't imagine my life without the fighting game community. Obviously, I became a content creator, and so it's a creative outlet. It's a competitive outlet. It's a group of friends to hang out and talk with and travel with, and it's just like I don't really know how to summarize it. My brain won't find the words, but it's, I mean, my family at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anyone like? One extra question now that you said that it like sparked a question for me. Is there anyone that like you feel has like been with you throughout this? Like certain friends that like lifelong friends now that you've had? Like I see that you have a podcast yourself, so I'm assuming that's the other person that you play fighting games with. Is there anyone that like you feel eventually is going to be joining you in like fighting game Valhalla?
So there's a few people that I really want to bring attention to. First and foremost is, I mentioned him earlier in the show, is Lord Xavier. X is my primary mentor. He's the one that spent the most amount of time sitting down with me and teaching me fighting games. He's the person through whom I met the most people and made the most connections. And I've traveled with him to pretty much every major that I've gone to. And he has always been there throughout my journey. And he started his way before me. But he sort of took me under his wing and brought me up to where I am now. Another person that I'd give credit to is my friend Ricky Icebeam.
That's a creative name.
Yeah, Ricky is great, but he was the one that sat with me at my first local and like showed me how to do things in Street Fighter V. So he was the first person to talk to me and want to help me get better ever in fighting games. He was literally the first person to teach me things. And he still helps me out now. Like, we play Street Fighter together all the time. And he's still teaching me things and helping me improve my game, and he has seen me come so far. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to my friend Ray, who is essentially the reason that I play fighting games. He was the one back when I was a kid who sat down and played Tekken 6 with me all the time. And he wasn't like, he got into DOA with me like a little bit when I started, but when Tekken 7 came out, like that was the game that me and him formed our friendship over, was Tekken 6. So when Tekken 7 came out, we dove in together and started grinding like at the same time. And like, he's still better than me now, but like, we've just been with each other throughout the entire grind since Tekken 7 came out up until now. Yeah, if I had to pick the three most influential fighting game people in my life, those would be the top three right there.
That's awesome. Make sure you go follow all them. But Ghoul, thank you so much for doing this with me, man. I appreciate this so much. I'm gonna
thank you for having me.
No, for real, dude. But where can everyone find you? Give us the lowdown where to find XGhoul.
So first and foremost, you can find me on TikTok at Ghoul FGC. It's just like that, no letters, no numbers or anything. You can find me on YouTube with the same tag, Ghoul FGC, and you can find me on Twitter at XGhoul with a 0 instead of the O, because Ghoul was taken.
Okay.
Those are the three primary places that you can find me that I post my stuff.
Nice. Good stuff, dude. Before we get out of here, we just want to mention one final thing. If you haven't already, please go to Twitter right now and find Sharpie. Purple Sharpies. Tweet. They will not let her go live on TikTok. It's going on a month now. Hashtag free Sharpie. It is the dumbest thing ever.
Sharpie.
They think she's 13 years old. They've banned her because they think she's underage. She's a grown ass woman and they won't let her go live. No human being is actually looking at this. It's clear that it's some type of like algorithm thing. No humans looking at this. I think right now the tweet's up to like 80 people. We're trying to get that as big as we can so people know about it. We want to get TikTok support to get their shit together to support one of the most influential people in our community. So make sure you go do that if you can, please. But Ghoul, thank you so much for coming to hang out. I appreciate it, and I hope you had a good time, man. Don't forget to follow Ghoul on all social media platforms that he mentioned. I stream on Twitch every Sunday and Tuesday. Come and hang out. I also have an FGC TikTok account. Go check that out as well. If you want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. Feel free if you have the funds. If you like the video today, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. My name is Phil, and of course, I'll talk to you guys soon.